Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hopefully you are well. Whoa, my audio is very loud. Why is that? I wonder. Why is that? Hey, hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for coming on by. I'm going to do my due diligence here, which I should have done prior to the show, and listened to the audio coming through my stream. It's probably because I changed the preamp a little bit, but we will find out real quick. Make sure I'm not just like totally peeking out here. Of course. All right. Actually, doesn't sound too bad as long as I don't get too excited. I wonder if I should turn up the compression a little bit. But anyways, you guys tell me what I should do, and I will do those things. At first listen, okay, so wait, let's start from the beginning. Good morning, Angus. How are you? Good to see you again. Thank you for chiming in. You are first on the live streaming, which means that you get the crown of purple, because the new gamification of the chat in YouTube, which is a little awkward for churches, mind you. It's like, anyway, what's going on, chat? Good morning. Hopefully you are well. Thanks for stopping by as always. And Daniel, not a super regular guy talking in the chat, but you have jumped in third today, and I believe that gives you, I don't know, something on the gamification. But welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Always appreciate that. Morning. Made it just fine last week's events. It's nice and sunny. Should hold 83 today. Ooh, 83 would be a dream in the south. It's going to hold 91 today and be a scorcher. So I got my air conditioning set, and we are all good here in the bonus room. So yes, the bonus room. I could name the stream after that maybe, but I'm going to move out of the bonus room soon. So I'm doing pretty well here in Edmonton. Excellent. And at first listen, it sounds pretty good. Yes. I don't have any compression. I made a slight little change. Not that anybody probably cares about this. I made a slight little change on this because I was noticing that I really wasn't pushing very much audio through. And I've been having issues with this microphone connecting. Like when the computer goes to sleep and comes back, the X32 doesn't seem to see it. And so I have to actually restart the whole computer, which is not actually the end of the world because it seems to be running a lot faster when you restart, right? However, when I bring the computer out of sleep mode, it doesn't reconnect the microphone. So I have to do like a full-on restart just to get it to talk to the X32, which it currently is right now. Now, what I was noticing was in the X32, I was pretty low, like I was driving it with the preamp in the X32 pretty high, and that really should not be necessary. Matter of fact, I had phantom power on this line when, again, not necessary. So I took that off. My decibels, obviously, my dBs dropped a fair bit, and I made some readjustments. And so hopefully that, I'll let the preamps do their thing, and just use this microphone that way. So really a few little changes, but in vMix, I don't trust vMix's audio meters because I just don't. I don't think that they're super accurate. Maybe they are, but from all the other signals that I have coming at me, like this here says that my audio level is between 5 and 10, and this says that I'm clipping. So what is it? Which is it? Maybe if I go into the vMix audio settings, there's no gain. There's actually nothing. There's nothing on the main output that should be driving it. If I go to the microphone, there's no gain there, no EQ, no compressor, no noise gates, and yet it's showing, actually it even shows differently in vMix on the microphone channel than it does on the master output. So riddle me that. What on earth? Both the faders are at the same level, and yet one is clipping and one is not. It's reading like 5 decibel difference, and then over here it's reading another 5 decibel difference. So like, what on earth? I just don't. I don't get it. 32 hours in 2 days. I'm exhausted. No kidding. Yeah, the Knutson Cabonus Room Fun Time live show. I like it. See, this is why I got to toss these ideas out to you guys. You guys are great. Your audio levels are noticeably improved today. Excellent. Glad to hear it. I'm trying not to yell. I barely have to try at all to talk into this microphone. So, yeah, vMix's metering lacks some awesomeness. You clipped there for sure. Give the mic a tiny bit more distance. Well, and the other thing, like here, I need nothing on the X32 in terms of the preamp, but also I could go down 2 decibels on, so that's 2 decibels on the output of the preamp. So this microphone has its own preamp, an individual one with a compressor and everything, which I'm barely touching because I need somebody else to come in and either an audio tech to come in and set those levels, or I need somebody to sit here with a similar voice like my dad and then me listen on headphones and change that. But anyways, so I can pull out the dial back the output on the preamp and hopefully then see, now I'm barely clipping. I'm clipping a lot less than I was in vMix. I'm not clipping here. And inside the channel for the microphone, I have, what do I got going on here? Not a whole lot. I mean, there's nothing really changing. There's a tiny bit of compression that kicks in, but not very much. My output, however, is, it's because I got a low cut filter, a low cut set in the EQ, and so my output is 510 lower than the input. But anyways, there you go. So give yourself a little more distance between the microphone. Okay, well, I'm not used to doing that. I'm used to being right up on it, but whatever. All right, cool. So we have been navigating a lot of things recently, and I even have I have another show that I want to do, but I have 2 more shows actually now that I want to do that kind of circle back with the things that we've talked about. In the future, I'd like to do a full-on review of the new Blackmagic decoder, the 4K decoder. The problem is I can't find it anywhere. Grant, on the NAB announcement for 2025, said that the Blackmagic decoder would be available sometime in late June. According to my calculations and calendar, it is the middle of July. And that is pretty par for the course for companies that invent things. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like that astonishes me. Some of you know that I worked for a manufacturer from Australia, and launch dates sometimes are ambitious. And so maybe we don't exactly launch on the date that we want. Hopefully it's a little bit more consistent as time goes along, because what your audience really wants, what your consumer base really wants, is for your words to be true. Anybody? All right. So when you make a promise, you can't blame manufacturing all the time, because when you start you start blaming manufacturing or shipping or logistics or inventing things is hard. When you do that for a consistent basis for multiple years, for multiple products, people start to think that you don't know what you're doing. And fair enough. I mean, maybe we don't. I don't know. But Blackmagic, who is also an Australian-based company, and they have a very strong Australian leadership, in particular with Grant, I think, this is just me personally, they have a fairly strong leadership. I hope that their launch dates are maybe a little closer to what they were hoping it to be, which middle of June. So we're in the middle of July right now. He said middle to late June. Now it's middle to late July. So I actually really need, we have a project that's underway that I could really use an SRT decoder to bring it into our production system, because the way that my production suite is set up is I record all channels. Ooh, and I can talk about this a little bit. We just had a recording session yesterday. But basically, we record all channels onto an ATEM ISO. Remember that? Well, we have that now. I press a button on an X keys, and it records all channels at all times. And I would love to bring in a stream from a source that's in the field, a remote source, and have it show up in the soundstage and us record that. The catch is I also need to send the program back. I need to send audio and video back to, now, if you know some of the major players in this tech space when it comes to streaming, there is a channel which I highly recommend called Streaming Alchemy, which is a John Mahoney, I believe his name is. Maybe I got that wrong, but John is his first name. It's a great name. Okay, great name. John is his first name, and he did a review of streaming via SRT versus streaming via NDI Bridge. Now, it didn't come out great for NDI Bridge. I'll just throw it out there. He connected things. He's got great internet, and everything looked pretty good. Then he stressed his network, and he added 10% packet loss, and then he added 20%, 30%, 50%. And at 10%, NDI Bridge struggled hard. And at 50%, SRT started to struggle, and NDI was useless. There would be no way you could use that. You could see that something was coming through. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe I, could use NDI Bridge. However, the stars would align, and I'm a little bit nervous about, when it's go time, we got to make sure that it works. Also, we don't really have a way to test it before we go. And so, we could test it here in Tennessee, but we don't have the ability to test it. We're actually planning on being back in Michigan, in early August to do another recording session, and I need it to be rock solid. So I don't know what to do about that. I'm really got my fingers crossed that somebody's like, oh yeah, they're here. Blackmagic hasn't told us to sell them yet. But, there's that. Selena Thomas over on Twitch. Hey, how are you? Dropped a follow. Oh, thank you. Always appreciate that. Thanks for stopping by over on Twitch. I haven't had a lot of activity on Twitch these days. Most of it's over here on YouTube, but, all are welcome. Chad says, hey, when it comes to Blackmagic, if you watch their download page, when you see them post a firmware for something, that's when you know that they've shipped it to their retailers. Fascinating. That's an interesting little factoid. The Blackmagic decoder is available for pre-order on B&H, which means it's going to be the soonest. That you'd be able to get it. Angus says, use Video Ninja. Not as slick as SRT, but it's a decent alternative in the meantime. All right, well, let's head on over to the what do we want to do here? B&H, and see what we can come up with. Now, today's show is about me using my little box creation. You remember probably about a month and a half ago, I made a Peplink BR1 Mini mobile internet system for my truck, or for my vehicles, I should say. So we have done a lot of traveling in the past month. Many of you have known that I have not been very consistent with my streams during the month of June and early July. So here we're going to do a recap, because that was me in the field really testing it, and my kids really testing it, and to see kind of how that worked. And so we traveled from Middle Tennessee all the way out to the East Coast, and then we traveled back, and then we went up north to Ohio, Central Ohio, and back, and had a good chance to really give this thing a run for its money. So we are going to talk about that in a minute, but let me get over to B&H real quick, and I just want to pull up the Video Ninja, and we'll see what comes of this. All right. Okay, so they don't have anything on B&H that is of that name. So let's just go ahead and head over to the Googles. And I can throw this up here now that we are hanging out. Video Ninja. Where did you pick this up from, Angus? I guess you're in Edmonton, so... Oh. It's a... Hold on. It's not a device. 100% free, no downloads, no personal data, no sign-ins. Bring live video from your smartphone, remote computer, or friends directly into OBS or other studio software. Use cutting-edge peer-to-peer. Interesting. Create a room, add your camera, remote, create a reusable invite. Yeah, sorry, the chat is just refreshing now, so I'm just seeing this stuff come up. Yeah, read the chat. Yeah. Fascinating. So it's a website. It's a free WebRTC based tool. And read the chat. Okay, so interesting. So if we just say create a room, Canute test, and okay, so this is going to be shown. So guests can see the director, but not other guests. The director will be performing as well, appearing in group scenes. Prefer video codecs. I do like AV1 if you have the ability. Enter the room's control room. Show me tips. Insecure room name. All right, I will, let's boink. Let's go ahead and set a password. Oh, that's funny. Alrighty, so that is also showing. Okay. So then people will invite as a guest. Guests can hear others. That's cool. So if I go to, let's go back. Sorry, this is turning into a, oh, whoops. Yeah. Oh, stop it. Oh, that's why. So can I do the, I can do it here. There we go. All right, so if I paste and go, oops. Screen share with, join the room. Yeah. Waiting for your camera to load. Okay, this is interesting. So curious, Angus. I mean, this does give me an option. It's not as consistent. It's not like a piece of hardware that I can. So one of the things with the decoder is that you can buy an encoder and a decoder, or you can use a camera, which I didn't check yesterday. I'll have to do it tomorrow. And you can upload an XML file that basically when that thing comes online, it always connects via, like you hit live stream and it connects to that decoder right away. And I think I like the idea of encoder decoder not basically embedding it on a camera, but doing an encoder and a decoder, and then when they turn on, they connect together right away. This is a feature in Blackmagic. And when they connect right away, you can, here they are. When they connect right away, then you can connect any SDI source, which is what we have, to the encoder, and it will show up on the decoder, and the decoder can go into your, our constellation and into our ATEM. So that is something that I'm very interested in, mostly because I want to record all channels and kind of have a way to do remote production, always have a remote camera. But the problem with this, and I don't know what the solution is I also need to send back program. And does that mean that for this solution with Blackmagic, do I have to have another encoder decoder and send back program? Because that's a lot of SDI channels, and that's a lot of bandwidth, and that's a lot of everything. But also, would it be rock solid to where it's like when they turn on, they automatically connect to each other over the internet and off we go? Like it's very little in terms of setup. It's just like I need a solid internet upload speed and download speed, and then I would be all right. So that's the real attraction here, is having the ability to send this out with anybody, like a camera op, and basically get high quality, get a high quality remote stream that is consistent. That's what we're really after. This is the rig right here. SDI camera to streaming encoder to the internet to the decoder to the constellation. That is literally my format. The other thing is on the back of the decoder. Where is it? I want to see a picture of the back of the decoder. On the back, yeah, we have monitor out. Wait, this looks like the encoder. But on the back of this, so they already have something called the web presenter. So we could buy that right now, and that is the same thing, I've read. It is the same thing as the encoder. It's just been renamed to match the decoder. So you have an encoder decoder. So I can do SRT back to my booth right now. But the question is, where do I send that to be decoded and turned into an SRT or a SDI stream? I don't know yet. I don't know what the answer is to that. So onward, I guess. Onward. Well, but this alternative option is this control room is pretty cool. And I will want to investigate that a little bit going forward as an alternative. There are other brands of SRT encoders and decoders, including Magewell Pro Convert or KiloView. I use them both. Specifically, we use the Magewell NDI to SDI or to do SRT to SDI. It decodes both NDI and SRT. Fascinating. Can I send you a test stream? Let's not deviate too much from where I want to get back to the real link or the not real link, the Peplink stuff here. But I will definitely check this out. Pretty sure having a hardware piece that just works is awesome, but until that's available, this is a pretty effective stopgap measurement. And I might need to do it just because I'm running out of time. I would think that you would need 2 sets, but vMix call would also work pretty well. vMix call does work pretty well. We did that with Jeremy, and I actually liked that. How much is the basic vMix license? Because I could... Yeah, you're right. vMix call might be an option too. Both Magewell and KiloView do that. We put Magewells on various sports fields for feeds to and from the field, and they automatically reconnect and stay connected. Just add PoE. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, we're going to have to get after it here because so there's going to be a couple of weeks now, unfortunately, and maybe I'll try and do something from the road. But on the 31st, I'm going to be traveling to Northern Ontario, and I will be somewhere between Ohio and Waterloo, Ontario on that day. And then on the 7th is actually the day that we're planning on doing this recording. And so I'll be in the field, but in the morning I might actually be able to jump on here for 10 minutes. I don't know what equipment I'm going to have, but it would be really cool. Like if I have all this equipment, that I could do something in the field and just live stream directly to YouTube off of my phone or something like that. So maybe that's what we'll try. I'll try and do something because I don't want to miss 2 weeks. Matter of fact, I could probably live stream on the 31st from the truck, given that I'm going to have my Peplink. So maybe, I don't know. Who knows how that will go. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. That's why I wish so hard that the Bird Dog Quad would add SRT. Yeah, the Bird Dog Quad, that device has so much potential now that it's doing HX, I mean, does it do HX? I think that was the thing they were trying to get to. You know, that's a lot easier on the chipset to do HX than to do full NDI. And so I think the problem with the 4K family was there was so much potential. Like the hardware, the physical connections on it seemed to make sense, but the chipset inside was really the limitation. So I don't know what it's capable of. I never really found out kind of what the ceiling was, but similar problems that they had with Bird Dog Play, right? The original was that it was like, oh, we'll just decode NDI. Well, to decode full NDI generates a lot of heat. And so then when the chipset got fully underway for an hour, it would start dropping frames because it was just way too hot. So they had to add a fan and they had to change things around and rewrite the code multiple times and to finally get it where it was fairly stable. And now that's kind of the current product. The issue, I think, though, is that it took way too long to come to that conclusion. I don't know why they deviated. Again, this is me now pontificating after my employment. I don't know why we deviated from the metal cases. We went full plastic on a lot of stuff. And like for heat dissipation, metal heat sink, like the Studio and the Mini, they were their own heat sinks. And so they would get the heat distributed over large surface areas, and then the ambient temperature would take care of it. Now, if you ran it out in 100-degree weather, you're kind of on your own. That's not what. But if you put it inside a control room or something like that, air conditioning works pretty well. So I don't know why they deviated away from other than cost, but I think for the benefits of heat distribution, that really would have aided them in figuring out how to handle heat. So they kind of bought in. You start making the products and you can't really deviate from that after you announce it. But man, if it was just a metal case, that probably would have helped big time. I don't know for sure, but adding the fan obviously helped. So Silicone 2 HX3 is in early access beta, but no word if it includes SRT. Oh no, I missed the live stream. Do I start from the beginning or join just now? Well, we haven't really covered the thing I'm going to talk about today, so you could start now and then go back later if you wanted to get the rest. But what's going on, Randy? Good to see you. The Studio and Flex both have such short lifespans. It really left a sour taste. The Studio and the Flex. 4K Flex. The Studio's lifespan, I feel like the Studio's lifespan was discontinued after like 4 years in an effort because they couldn't literally buy the parts anymore. That's why they discontinued it. I don't think they would have stopped making the Studio if they could continue to make it, but the parts didn't exist anymore. Our suppliers disappeared on much of that. So that was troubling, and I think that's troubling in manufacturing in general, is that you can't literally make it anymore. And they were like, well, we have the 4K family now, so let's move to that. And then the lightweight was supposed to be the Flex. Is the Flex done? I didn't see if the Flex was. Yeah, I didn't see if the Flex was finished. I thought it was still like a part of their main line, but I'm going to start from the beginning. I'll see you in about a half an hour. As I understand it, the Flex was killed for the same reason. Really? Wow. That surprises me. I don't know anything, so I can't explain it, but the Studio never once reached a high enough stability to actually make the investment worthwhile. The Flex has been a much better tool. I mean, I remember when we launched the Flex, I thought it was so cool just because it was there was an LCD screen, so that was a big complaint, but the Halo Ring gave you enough data to understand what was happening. I hated the fallback method of things. I didn't think that was a very efficient way of bringing network devices onto your network. But like, well, anyway, because if you're going to do that, you have to have an LCD screen to tell you what IP address it's at. And that's kind of nice with the 4K family, is at least you can kind of see most of the time what the IP address is. But you have to have a way for it to feed that back. And so there was a time where there was a firmware where you could plug in an HDMI monitor, and if there was no signal going to it, it would tell you on boot up what the IP address is. I don't know if that's still the case, but we had to do something to tell people where the device was on the network. Is it in fallback? Is it broken? Is it taking an IP address that we can't find? What is it? So, yeah. They killed it just recently. Really? Wow. There's an end-of-life notice on the Flex page right now. Oh my gosh. That is BirdDog.tv. Oh my gosh. Well, I have seen the life cycle. The end-of-life notice. EOL notification for Flexes and wall plates. Well, the wall plate never really came out. We wish to inform you that the following products are approaching their end of life. Flex in, Flex out, the backpack, wall plate in and wall plate out. We are unable to continue production of these products on an ongoing basis due to the chip supply chain challenges beyond our control. As a result, we will continue to sell these products until the stocks are depleted. End of life, end of support, end of technical support. No, end of support means end of technical support. Don't do that to your support team. Jeez. It's so stupid. It's so frustrating. Don't do that. That's so... What can they do? If you're not going to write software for it, what can your tech team do? Nothing. Warranty on all existing warranties will remain valid for the duration of the term. Go back to your basics, Bird Dog. Seriously, go back to your basics. Focus on encoder decoders as your bread and butter. Go back to your Studio 2.0. Revive that name. Make it as fundamentally versatile as the original Studio was. Give it a better LCD than the ones that are in the 4K family. Or go back to the dot matrix, because to be honest with you, I have seen Studios at NAB in April, a couple of months ago, functioning on cameras, generating full NDI streams for like production examples. I saw them in the wild. I took pictures of them. So they're still out there. They're still functioning. People are still using them. And yet, for some reason, we're avoiding realizing what made Bird Dog's name was that product and the P200. That's the truth. FAQ, what does this mean? How long will this continue? What should customers do with the products? Nothing. Well, that's very fascinating. Our RIP Bird Dog Flex and wall plate family. That is surprising. Not, okay, shouldn't say that. I mean, it is the natural flow of products, but perhaps that is a clear indication about about securing your product chipset lines for the next, for like why it's important to be sure that the people you're doing business with are not just trying to give you the best price, but they're also going to give you a guarantee that, hey, we're not going to run out in 5 years. Like, this product that we're going to build together is going to be a long-term thing. Yeah, that's very interesting. Well, thanks for bringing that to my attention. Always fascinating stuff. My P200s are still earning their keep, and I wish a replacement would come out for the equivalent of the telephoto FOV. They're really showing their age in terms of image quality, but nothing can beat their zoom reach. I agree. The P200 with a 30 times optical, I don't know why. Again, it was Bird Dog's best-selling camera of all time. There's no doubt. The Mackie, I don't think can come close to it. I don't see it in the wild. You know, maybe they're trying for that, but I don't see it in the wild. You had a P200, you had a PTZ camera that had a 1080 lens, okay? 1080-60 lens that did 30 times optical without any sort of gimmicky cropping a 4K sensor garbage. It was a true 30 times optical lens. Now, it was expensive, and maybe the margin wasn't big enough to like operate the company. I don't know, but you had a 30 times optical lens. Maybe you didn't charge enough for it, but we sold those things all the time. People would look at the P4K and the P200 and buy multiple P200s instead of buying a P4K. Why? Well, because they could buy multiples, first of all, and the lens was better. Like the zoom was better on it. They knew that they were going to be bringing in these images at 1080p, and they didn't need to stream them over the internet at 4K. Nobody needed that, especially back then, but even now it's questionable. The only guys that like to do that are like Tom Sinclair, and he's like, let's see if we can break it. That's his thing, is let's see if we can really make this thing go. And so if you're going to enter into the HX world, which, by the way, makes you like everybody else, there's not a whole lot that stands out now between guys that are doing NDI, KiloView, Magewell, all these other companies. They're all doing HX. Now you are an HX company, which means that you're one of the group of people that do this. So what really makes your products stand out? And I think the full NDI option was really the thing that made you different, but also, you know, it was a young company, pretty small. You know, we had a pretty good support system. I mean, as far as I can tell, I thought it was designed, of course I designed it, so of course I thought this. I thought it was designed better than what else was offered. And a matter of fact, we got a lot of pushback from integrators because we didn't do the standard support system. We didn't have a phone number that they could call. And the reason why I didn't have that is because I wanted everybody to be treated equal. I didn't want this, like you get preferential treatment because you're so-and-so, and people got really mad about that because I didn't treat them special over the small church that also needed help, or the small community center, or the one-man band. Like, we treated all of your tickets I tried to, as even, until I was told not to, which was really frustrating, because it was like, no, this goes against our support philosophy. Everybody is equal. I don't care how big you are. And they're like, well, these guys do a lot of sales for us. It's like, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We take care of everybody. We don't just push other people off to the side because they didn't buy enough. So I don't know what the philosophy is now. Okay. I know that Clay is kind of in charge of things over there, and I hope he's doing well with it. But I refused because the other support systems in the industry sucked. Like, they were terrible. And everybody was frustrated when they had to go to support. Why? Because their support systems were terrible. And yet people got mad that we didn't run our support the same way that those other terrible systems ran. So I was like, we're not doing that. Sorry. It's not my style. We're going to at least try something else, and maybe it will also be bad, but at least we won't go into it knowing that we're already bad. We're already modeling ourselves after a bad system. All right, rant over. Panasonic released an NDI add-on for free of all their cameras, manned and PTZ, that supports NDI. Oh my gosh. If those integrators are so big, they should have done their own in-house people to do the basic troubleshooting. To be fair, most of them did. But when you are an integrator, you have like 60,000 products that you are the expert on. And I was reminded of this the other day because we've been struggling with this SWIT pantograph, which is one of the shows I want to do because I think I might be able to fix it. But I reached out to an integrator, and he called me back and and started down this line of questioning that I immediately recognized as, you've read the manual and you're about to give me all of the things that you can think of. Granted, he knew his stuff. Like, he wasn't just like a phone jockey, but he started going down that path, and I was like, hang on, dude. I was like, let me tell you what I've done, and then you tell me if you've got anything else. And so I went through the 3 weeks of troubleshooting I've already done, and he was like, yeah, you've done everything that I would have suggested. And I was like, still got it. Like I can still do the tech. I can still do the tech work. And I thought to myself, hey, like if I find myself in a pickle, I could probably advocate that I could go to an integrator and probably be like an on-site tech and maybe do pretty well, because at least I know how to troubleshoot things. And yeah. And he was like, honestly, there's nothing else I can think of to troubleshoot, so you'll have to reach out to the manufacturer. He did not have to do that. He was super kind about it. He asked all the questions I've already asked. It's all good. And I really appreciate him reaching out and thinking about it for a hot second and not just writing me off. But I'd already done all the recommendations, and so that wasn't really, if anything, it reinforced that, hey, I still have the ability to be a troubleshooter. Anyway, so yeah, we are trying to, back to the support thing, and then back to the bird dog thing, and then back to the Black Magic thing. I'm really hoping that we see some movement on these devices, because I could really use one of these right about now. But there are a few other options that maybe we have to do a web service. Like StreamYard would be an option where we could just record a StreamYard session and be done with that. I do own a copy of vMix, and so I could get it on a computer and take it with me, and then send it over via SRT and record it that way. I could even... Yeah, but anyways, we kind of want somebody in the field, me, to set up lights, sound, a good camera, whatever. So there's that. So yeah, there's just lots to kind of consider. And I'm hoping that we can figure out a solution here in the next week. So we'll talk more about that next week. Okay. Let's get on with this Peplink conversation, because there is something that I want you guys to at least know what's happened here. So in late June, my family and I took a trip to Virginia. And you might think, what's in Virginia? Well, lots of things that you might want to see at least once. Norfolk is out there, which is a major U.S. naval base, which is really cool. There's lots of battleships and stuff in harbor at all times. There's a lot of the Navy Air Force bases are out there. Navy Air Force, is that right? Navy airplanes are constantly flying around, and so you see all sorts of really cool jets. But there's also things like Virginia Beach. There's also several parks. There's also several protected wildlife areas. And if you're traveling from Middle Tennessee like I am, you're also going to pass places like the Great Smoky Mountains. You're also going to pass a place called Shenandoah National Park. And my family and I are kind of thinking about, hey, maybe we'll try and see some national parks, because we are a family of walkers. We like to go for hikes and go for walks and see what we can see. And so we had a trip out to Virginia to do some of that, and also then to hit up maybe Virginia Beach or somewhere around there and see what we could see. We also went through Williamsburg, which is there on the coast technically. It's inland about 45 minutes. But Williamsburg, which is colonial Williamsburg, so there's a lot of history there about the United States. Now, I'm Canadian, so I don't know. I wasn't raised to learn all of this. I learned Canadian history, shocker. And I know about, we in Canada, at least it used to be, we would learn about the United States, but not their history necessarily, like how deep it goes and what it was like to live back then. And so this was kind of a cool opportunity even for me, but for my kids to experience colonial Williamsburg and a bunch of things. And I could talk about those details of the trip. But one of the things that we did was I built basically a wireless network for my truck or my car. We ended up taking my wife's car. And we built a wireless system that would communicate primarily with cell towers as we traveled throughout the United States. And so we traveled through Tennessee quite a ways, and then we kind of went up sharply and into Virginia and then over to the coast. So I took this device and was able to. We took a whole week. We took a week to get out there. We left Sunday afternoon, went to Gatlinburg on Sunday evening, stayed in Gatlinburg for Monday, and then on Tuesday woke up and drove out to Williamsburg. And that was quite a long haul. That was 6 or 7 hours that day. Stayed in Williamsburg Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and left on Thursday evening and went back to Charlottesville, Virginia. Stayed in Charlottesville and then went to Shenandoah National Park after Charlottesville and then traveled to Roanoke, Virginia. And then out of Roanoke back home on Saturday and home for Sunday to operate again. I was tired. But anyways, we took a whole week and made a dash for it and got to stop in a couple of places. On Monday, we toured the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which was packed with people on a 110-degree day. It was brutal. And on the Thursday, we were at Shenandoah National Park, which was quite foggy, but not as packed as Great Smoky Mountains, and had a great day hiking a few trails there and getting to see some cool stuff. Williamsburg, we were there on Wednesday all day, and the other day, Gatlinburg, and we had a mini water park while we were in Gatlinburg, so the kids were thrilled with that. So we traveled quite a ways, and my little wireless routing system was up and running that whole time. So that was a good chance for us to try it out. Now, shortly after that, the next week, we also went for the 4th of July. We also went, let me push this over here, to Ohio. And so we went from Nashville to Virginia, back to Nashville, up to Ohio, and then back home. So we had quite a trip around the horn, as they say. Let me try and get this thing to read. Oh, did this log me out? Stupid thing. It likes to do that. There we go. Oh, of course. So, yes, we had quite a trip, and I'm going to load up the stats on this just so you can see. One of the features inside Peplink is it allows you to see where the device has gone, and it provides basically like a geo-track of all the places that you've been, and you can even do a date range. And so if you want to say, hey, I want to see where my vehicle has gone in the past week, you can do that, and then it will put a little map. You can even follow press play, and it will show you the car driving to all those places. So I'm going to make this full screen just so that you can see this a little easier. And then I will bring you over there. Give me a second here. There we go. Oh, that's not what I thought it was. All right. Well, anyways, here we go. So this is inside of the it's called In Control 2. And this is the software for the device that's actually web-based and provided if you buy a Peplink. And all it does is just cache your location. So you can see our trip from Nashville out to Virginia Beach and then back home, and then from Nashville up to the Wapakoneta area and then back as well. So we've put some miles in the car. These were both done in my wife's vehicle. But then it's kind of neat because you can track where you've been. So first and foremost, just for tracking purposes, that's kind of a nice thing. But also then, what did we do when it came to, devices being connected and all of that? How did it perform? Overall, I think it was better than I expected. And I can give some details on that, but we can also look at the data reports from that device. I don't know if I can do a date range on there, but let me pull it up and see what options I have. The last 7 days? No, the last 31 days. All right. So we can pull up those stats and say, okay, for the last month, how did things go and how much were we using and all of that jazz. So here we have going back to June 17th, which is before the trip that I took. We started on the 23rd or something like that. But anyways, internet availability. You can see that when we were traveling, there were days, for example, inside the national parks, which the 27th would have been that's Saturday. No, 27th was the Friday. So that Friday, we spent the majority of the day in the car in Shenandoah. And so there was very little cell service. Matter of fact, 71% of the time we spent in the car was fairly decent, but 30% of it would have been poor coverage. So that's interesting information. You can see, too, the days where we didn't use it, June 30th, July 1st. And then we did some traveling on these days. And so the internet availability is pretty solid. What's fascinating about this information is the day that we were in Great Smoky Mountains, which would have been the 23rd, we actually, it's lower than the other travel days, but the 23rd actually didn't do too bad. It stayed connected for the most part. Now, there were times where there was no service at all, and I was running strictly off of GPS, which doesn't give you any data, of course. But this day that we were traveling through Great Smoky Mountains, most of the day didn't do too poorly. Like, it was okay. Whereas Shenandoah, it's not developed at all like Great Smoky Mountains, but it's not trafficked at all like it is either. So, take that for what it's worth. But anyway, so these were the days this is the whole week that we were traveling, and obviously there's lots of information. Over that last month, you can see which devices have been drawing down the most data, uploads and downloads. So my wife's phone, the switches are obviously the next one, uploads. I think they're playing on Minecraft with their friends, and so that's what's going on here. But maybe they're playing together. So I think my son has the old Switch maybe, and my daughter has the new one. I don't know. But one of them is joining the other one's world. And so that's what's going on there. So there's a lot of uploads, a lot of downloads. And then the other devices are actually pretty limited in terms of what it is that people are seeing, like what data is actually being drawn down on there. So that's kind of a cool little thing to have at your disposal. This is information you wouldn't necessarily get if you were hotspotting your phone. So it's kind of a nice way to analyze this. What's going on, Jeremy? How are you? Hey, did you go up to Front Royal? You mean Fort Royal? Hey, says Spider Lover. Hey, I'm a new viewer. I have no idea what the current conversation is, but hope the stream is going well. It is. Hey, seems cool to know where you traveled. It is kind of cool to have this information. Again, otherwise you wouldn't have this data, right? So it's a bonus feature as to, like, first of all, you get all this packet inspection stuff, but also you get a lot of GPS information, which is useful. So this is just kind of over the past month as to how, obviously we're not doing any traveling over here, so we have a lot less clients. The 16th, was that Sunday? No, that was yesterday. Yesterday, I went into the soundstage, and so I took my kids over to my wife's school, and they were with her, so they jumped on with their switches during that day. Also, what was Sunday? Because Sunday was the day, so the 13th. So yeah, 13th, that was the other day that I drove that vehicle. So I only have one unit, right? I only have one antenna and one box. However, moving it over from vehicle to vehicle takes me about 3 minutes, which is I love it because it's so quick. It's so fast to get it over to another vehicle. If my wife's like, hey, we need to run into town, I can just pop it over into the other vehicle, and it's pretty simple. So if I scroll down here, when did we build this? We built this back in early June, right? And I got tons of photos from this trip. Tons and tons and tons of photos. This is one of those trips, though. Great family vacation. We'd have a chance to... We'll talk about it for a long time. but I'm looking for the actual device, the little. Now this is like the lightweight version of the one that I want to build for Safe Harbor, and I built it before I went to Toronto even. But this is the one. This is the lightweight version of that one that I want to build, and I think I'm totally sold on it. For the next trip, for the trip that I take up to Ontario, I'm going to be taking it with me. One thing of note, by the way, when you're using CarPlay, okay, so when your iPhone connects to a device that's running CarPlay, which my truck has, you can't connect to a wireless network because for some reason CarPlay is using the Wi-Fi to make it happen. I wish it was Bluetooth only, but it's not. So you can't connect your phone to the Wi-Fi because your phone is connected via LTE and Wi-Fi to CarPlay. And so if I'm the only one in the truck, my watch can connect to the Wi-Fi, but really, like, if I'm the only one in there, no one's really using it. So it's tracking my truck and showing where I'm going. And remember, one of the features of Peplink is you can set up geofences. And so when I arrive at destinations, I can go in prior into the in control and say, here are the geofences that I want notifications when I'm here and when I leave, and I want you to email this email address. So when I arrive at places along my trip, there will be an automatic email that will be sent to my wife and say, John, the truck has arrived in Troy, Ohio, or the truck has arrived in Waterloo, or in North Bay, or in Temagami, or in Brampton, or all these places I'm going to end up being. So it can automatically update her, and I don't have to necessarily remember, okay, I'm stopping the vehicle, I need to email my wife or text my wife or whatever. Although I would already, I don't have to be that Johnny on the spot with it. But the device will do it for me. And so if I know where I'm going prior to the trip, I can put in those geofences and just say, email my wife. So I like it, and I think that this is appropriate.
How neat is that?
That is pretty neat. Let me show you. So if we go back here, and I can show you. So this is the actual rig, right? This is what we built a few weeks ago, about a month and a half ago now. That is the Peplink BR1 Mini, and I have a spare Ethernet. Actually, I have two spare Ethernet cables in there now. The only thing that you don't see here is I added two watertight ports on the side for Ethernet and WAN. So for LAN and WAN. And those plug into the Peplink. So if I take this device, which I actually didn't end up doing on our trips, but if I take this device out of the truck and I plug it into the hotel wired internet, or you'll notice that there are these antenna that are sitting here, I can actually connect it to the wireless in the hotel, and then all of my devices, they're already familiar with this network. They can all connect to this network, and I don't have to monkey with going to my kids' switch and connecting them to an open wireless that's a part of the hotel. That's not secure. So we do it this way instead. So that's kind of a convenient thing. Now, I didn't actually end up doing it, but when I am on the road and I'm about to do the live stream recording on August 7th, in Michigan, I will use this network. I'll plug it into the network that is provided there wherever we are, or I'll connect to it via Wi-Fi, and then I'll connect all of my network to this switch because it has 3 LAN ports on it already. So that is 2 LAN ports. So that's convenient that I have a little mini network already with me. I don't need another one-use switch. I don't need a 4250. I don't need any of that networking stuff. It's all self-contained. So I can connect via WAN to the internet, and then I have a LAN port that's also on the side that'll allow me to you can actually see them right here. They're here on the box. So there, see these 2 ports right here? These are connected now via, into the front of the Peplink, the BR1 Mini. So yeah, that gives me a little bit of a network option. Nope, Front Royal is on the north end of the Skyline Drive in Shenandoah. No, so we didn't get to the north end. We went all the way to the middle of Shenandoah, and then we made our way back out through the park through the south end. And so Shenandoah is huge, but Skyline Drive is pretty cool. I wish it wasn't as foggy or humid as it was the day that we were there, but it was way more enjoyable than Great Smoky Mountain. Sorry, I got to say it, but Shenandoah was better than Smoky Mountain. 1, because it wasn't as crowded, and 2, because It was, I felt like there were a lot more parking spots. There was a lot more kind of like, it was convenient. In Great Smoky Mountain, we crawled in a line of traffic all the way in and out of the park and barely found a parking spot. We found one way, way, way past the place we wanted to see, and so we just kind of took what we could get. But there you go. As 2-pad in control expires after a year unless you pay an annual percentage of the hardware costs. We have one of the 4 mobile units, and it was 30% of the purchase price to keep in control. That I didn't read in the fine print, but maybe you're right. I wish I could travel more. Understood. I'm pretty much done traveling now, except for the final trip that I'll be taking up north. I need to refresh this because there we go. 100% Chad. They are fully subscription based for all of those features. Oh, that's a bummer. Okay, well, correction. I stand corrected. Once the free year is up, then you have to pay for it. It works just fine without it. We just manage it locally over our VPN. Hey, that's pretty cool. I agree. It is pretty cool. It's very convenient. Hey, Jono, now find a portable battery supply and cut the cables. Yeah, that's possible. I like this little marine-based. Let me see if I can find a picture of that. Oh, here we go. You can see, and a little bird dog promo in there as well. You can see those cables plugged into the outside of the box are now plugged in here to the Peplink unit inside the box. And that red cable, or the red jack, is a marine style power supply. And so we mounted that onto the side. It has a rubber cover for it. Obviously, when you open it, it's not waterproof anymore, but you can plug power into it there. This just lives under the back seat of my truck where my son sits, and it just operates great. Doesn't get too hot. It's great. A camera battery plate with pigtails works great with Peplinks. Interesting. Here's the thing about batteries is I kind of want this thing to turn off when I turn the truck off, right? So right now I have it plugged in via 110 that comes out of my F-150, and when I turn the truck off, it powers off. When we were traveling in my wife's car, I had a power inverter on it that did 300 watts, and it would stay on when the vehicle would turn off. And so I have to go to the back of the vehicle and actually unplug the cigarette lighter that was running the power inverter. But yes, Skyline is top 10 for sure. Agreed. It was beautiful. I loved that trip. Hey, I have to go now. Hope that you have a great rest of the stream. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Always appreciate you guys over on Twitch. Hey, Chad. Hey, that's a great idea. What did Chad say? A camera battery plate, pigtails. Yes. I just don't need it to be on all the time. It's totally fine to be on when the truck is on. And I have a geofence that basically shuts down the access point when I get close to the house. And yeah, it's been actually working quite well. So that's all good. So most Peplinks have a port called the ignition sense that turns it off when the car is off. This one may not. I don't know. But anyways, I don't think I've noticed that, but maybe I'm just I'm not familiar with it enough. We've had a good track record. Oh yes, and also this is where the antenna is. It's a flat. Whoops, my logo. It's a flat little antenna that just sits behind the back seat on the window, and then I have some not Velcro but hook and loop style Velcro, but they're both hook and loop, and so it's like a crisp little. You push it on and it clicks on. And when you pull it off, it just easily pops off. So that's very convenient. It's just on the back window of both of my vehicles. And then I just pop that off and put it on the other vehicle, and off we go. The back window seems also, by the way, to be a good spot for reception. I was wondering, does it matter? All of the RVs and everything, it's all in the side window. But on the back window, this is actually behind a headrest. And so it's not even obstructing view of anything. And yeah, it works really well. So the instructions on the antenna is the Peplink logo should be facing out the window. So that's what I've done here. And then these wires just run down behind the seat and plug in behind, underneath the seat inside the actual Peplink unit. So yeah, it's a great little setup. It works really well. And let me scroll here and see if there's anything left. Oh, there's actually a photo of the ports. So these are those little watertight ports. If you close them, they're watertight, just like a kayak is watertight. If you dunk it in the water, no, that's not going to work. But if my son spills apple juice on his lap and it runs down, these ports probably won't have an issue keeping that water out, especially because they're closed all the time. So the dust stays out of them. You only open them when you need them. The trick is how to really tighten them down enough to where they're just plastic. So how to tighten them down enough to where they don't turn when you try and turn off the caps. And I think a little Loctite might be the answer. So it's usually on a green Phoenix connector or next to it. Okay, well, I'll have to check that out. I think I remember hearing about that. Did I take any other photos of it? On the top of the box, I did print labels that say like leave in the truck, because it doesn't need to come out, but it's all hard lined in and everything. And I'm actually really looking forward to it. I do have an international data plan. So it's a couple of gigs, in Canada and Mexico, but that will then continue to provide the GPS data and all of that as well. I'm going to look up the In Control subscription price because In Control, and that is for Peplink. Because it's not necessarily like I have to have those features, but man, I don't think that it is, no, not that. I don't think that it's worth purchasing, but it is, if they were provided for free, it is an amazing addition. But the Peplink eStore. But how much is it? That is the question. The BR1 Mini. In Control featured series. In Control. Search. Products. Loading. There we go. Failover license. No. So that's not what I wanted, right? I wanted to type in like software or whatever. In Control featured plans. In Control. Here we go. A subscription for 1 year is $30. For 2 years is $50. And what? Set. I don't understand. What is this? What's it for? Oh, for pros, for velocities, for pros. Balance. I'm assuming. Which series is it? What would it be considered? The BR1, right? Is it balance? Certainly not. Why wouldn't it be the selected velocity series, AP Pro series, 2 years? Let's just click on this and see which devices. That's not helpful. Come on, man. Well, anyways, if In Control was offered for like 2 or 3 years at $50, maybe that would be worth it for me. But the B In Control, I guess it's the BR1. Yeah, somebody help me out here. What for the Mini BR1? It would be the Prime Care options. Prime Care. I'm assuming the BR1 series, but these are not the routers that we have, right? You're looking for the PRMA 1 year. Okay. Okay. So let me go back to, here we go. All of the options, right? Which is not here. It's not even in this list. All right. PRMA 1 year. There we go. 1 year's $50. Prime Care A. 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. Yeah, BR Mini 1. There it is. Okay, cool. Thank you. You can only buy 1 year increments? Why is that? Activated on the day of your payment confirmation. It will take effect immediately in approximately 1 hour. Prime Care is non-transferable, non-refundable. So you better mean it if you want it. Yeah, $50. Especially because, well, anyways, $50 for a year. I would prefer this to be $50 for 2 years, as anyone would. But that does get a little steep since the product was only $300-400. So yeah, if this was your business, if it was on the road and you needed all these stats, I don't know if it's worth $50 a year. I don't know. Yeah, I don't see it as necessary for the function of the device. If it still works just fine, but I don't have all of that tangible data, then what you could do, right, is do it locally. So you could you could turn it on and log into it, probably see all that same data. It just wouldn't be available online, which is a very convenient thing. For my $13,000 unit, it was $5,000 a year. What? Yeah, no, that's ridiculous is what that is. What is the max? Again, locally, we can see it all locally. That's not an issue for me. And just get into the habit of downloading the data. But what is the max? Because that's the one that we're going to probably get for Safe Harbor, and I hate for it to be a ridiculous renewal price. But anyway, I find Peplink's pricing model very confusing. It feels like they priced it all out, and then somebody else came along and priced out the other things, and they didn't talk to each other. Right? Does that anybody else feel that way? Because I feel that way. Alrighty. Okay, so we're good there. I don't think I have any other pictures of the Peplink other than those ones that I took in the truck, which is shame on me because I really should have done better. Oh yeah, I built this right before I did the tech for the wedding. That's right. Yeah, all good, all good. I would happily pay $50 a year for In Control, but not thousands. Yeah, you should just. I wonder if you call them and be like, "Hey, I'm willing. I would love to have In Control. Can we do that for $50 a year? I'll pay for 3 years. I'll pay up front right now, but right now you guys are saying it's a $5,000 purchase, and obviously no one's going to do that. So maybe meet us somewhere on this conversation. That's a bit ridiculous. I mean, it's not a bit ridiculous. That is 100% ridiculous. The features are not that good. They're not that valuable. So I think they've priced themselves out of a lot of look, I got a fleet of, I've got a fleet of products, or I've got one really expensive product. I definitely want to have this feature, but I don't want it that bad. I was just curious. I sent out emails last night in regards to encoder decoder. Hey, I just said, hey, to all the Nashville integrators, hey, I'm looking to buy an encoder and a decoder. Are they available for purchase? We would be making purchases right now if ready. So one guy from, where's he from? Moo TV, MOO TV. Shout out to Moo TV for actually getting back to me. Hey, thanks for reaching out. I'll need to do a price check and get lead times on these. I'll get you back with a quote. See, that's all it takes. Good for you, Alex. Mr. Alex Ford. Shout out to Alex Ford here in Nashville. He's the first guy to get back to me. And mootv.com. Let's do him a solid and go over to Moo TV and give him a little free time on the channel. Moo TV looks like this. Ooh, that looks good. Video production for music tours and special events. I like it. A few of our friends. Jason Mraz, Brad Paisley, Leonard Skinner. Wow. Toby Keith. Oh, R.I.P. Oh, wait. Yeah, Toby passed away, right? Sheryl Crow. Who else? The Brothers Osborne. These guys must be Nashville because there's a lot. Garth Brooks. Yeah, there's a lot of country on this. Chris Stapleton. Anyway, Moo TV in the news. Dirk Bentley. Let's connect. Contact us. I like their website. It's kind of cool. Not traditional. Does this just take me to the bottom of the site? Yes. They're over on Quality Way in Nashville, Tennessee. Shout out to Moo TV for getting back to me on my inquiry about the encoder decoders and how far out they are. Hopefully they're not just purchasing from B&H because I can do that part. And I can do the integration. I'm all jazzed up about it because I feel like this is going to be a really fun project. I just want it to work really well. Ooh, by the way, other fun fact. You guys, I've recently been educated about the new Rode Pro wireless model. It does a 32-bit float on-board recording. Y'all know about this? I'm sure you do, because I'm really late to the game always. B&H Photo. So if you're not familiar with 32-bit float, basically you never, the audio level never peaks. It captures all the data all the way up the stream and never gets crushed at all. Let me and for you techie guys that are like, well, technically, I mean, just bear with me here. General audience. Okay. Rode Go Pro. So this is like a $350 device. You get dual microphone transmitters and a single receiver. But there's onboard memory on the transmitters. It's not 32-bit at the receiver on the output, but it's 32-bit on the transmitters, which means that they have onboard recording, and you can pull that information off of the transmitters. I don't know if it's via SD card or what it is. Looks like it's USB, so it's baked in. But the 32-bit float, I was talking to a guy who does recordings in Nashville, and he said, yeah, on all of our remote stuff, we just send these out now. And then when we come back to post, if the audio is not great on the camera, we just pull it off of here, and it's way better. It's all recoverable, essentially. Which is a very interesting idea, because these are the Pro 2s, right? Yeah. More details. Where is that thing? Make sure that, there you go, 32-bit float. So it allows you to basically capture pretty much everything that gets said without worrying about it getting crushed, and then, or however you want to word that. And gives you this kind of option to have a backup in case it doesn't work out. And so we're going to get a set of these before I go to Canada and then do the recordings in Michigan as an option, as a backup option to have, features internal storage of 32 gigs, which allows up to 40 hours of uncompressed backup recording, which is recorded at 32-bit float. It comes with the ability to RMA as well, but not worth it for us. Moo TV are great folks. Ooh, first time I saw a screen panning setup, it was Moo touring with Alan Jackson. I was working the Calgary Stampede, and they brought in some serious tech. There was one section of the show where the band was playing one of their big hits, and Moo TV guys had a music video all chopped up and playing back in sync with the band, all manually triggered. And this was close to 20 years ago. Wow. I've got the Rode Wireless Pro, not something I use often, but they're great when the need arises. Yeah, so as you all know, I have a set of the original Wireless Go 1s, and it's just a transmitter receiver. I use it all the time when I'm in the field recording, in battery situations, and I send it to my field recorder, which can also operate on batteries or off a battery bank if you're using an old school USB connection. And so I record classes and lectures and things, and I basically can run battery operated for all of those for multiple hours. I like them a lot. I like the Rode quality. I've had Rode shotgun microphones. I've had various Rode products over the years, and so I'm a big fan of them. And this new one came from a recommendation from a guy in Nashville who does productions and has a recording studio and does big name recording studio stuff. And he was like, yeah, for all of our things there, we just use those 32-bit floats, record, like we just clip them on, hit record, and everybody, we don't even like worry about it. We just do it all in post. And I thought, man, that would be sweet to have a backup, a redundancy, because this is actually a recording that we're doing on the 7th of August, not a live stream. So this would be proof of concept for a live stream. But if I had these little wireless microphones that I can clip on, they come with lapels, I can, clip them onto somebody's shirt, hide the transmitters, and then they record it in high quality. Then if anything happens during the transmission, I still got everything high quality and I can cut it down. One of the other shows that I'm planning on doing while we're talking about various things, one of the other shows that we're planning on doing is I am in the middle of editing my very first multi-camera time-coded DaVinci Resolve project. And I want to share that screen with you. How can I do that? I guess I got to change this source. One moment, please. Video inputs, edit this one. Screen capture, change. So yesterday, we did an interview with somebody who, which screen is that? Oh, crap. There's no previews. We did an interview with somebody who, let's try this one. Nope, not that one. Who is new for us. Like we didn't necessarily, nope, not that one. Of course, it's the one you don't pick first, right? All right, so we did a kind of interview style, and I did a multi-camera shoot on that, and I didn't cut it live. So usually I would cut the production live right there and then just save that file and export that as our video. This time we're actually trying something new because this next series that we're working through at Safe Harbor is us talking to other people on stage. And so this was the first kind of trial and error when it comes to, like, we're just finding things out. And so this is what that multi-camera shoot looked like. We had an audio track that was, this is all recorded on the ATEM ISO Extreme SDI, and we're able to time code all of these cameras together. They all get recorded on the ATEM, and then I can bring them all in a multi-camera edit situation and literally edit it in real time. So I just watch it and I click on the camera angles that I want. When Patrick, who's on cam 2, angle 2 here, when he's speaking, or when Devin is speaking, who's the guy in the blue shirt, I can just cut between them and it's actually very seamless. I can also pause and go back and say, okay, there's a breath here that I want to cut over and see Devin right away. So I can do that. I've got two very obviously, angle 3 and 5 are similar shots, but that's because of kind of our limitations in terms of what cameras and where they were. But camera 3 is the Cinema Pocket camera. And so that camera is down on the floor, kind of close in. And then the camera angle 5 is a camera that we have mounted kind of on the back, like every church have like this back camera that watches the stage. Usually a lot of live streams, that's the only camera everybody has. We have the luxury of having these big 6K studio cameras. So that's angles 2 and 4 are those two cameras, and they're pointed across and watching that. So I'm going to get to edit this today, and I'm pretty excited about the way that this is going to go. I've watched a few tutorials as to how to make this all happen, but the time code lines everything up, and now I just go through and cut the video. There's no audio on any of these channels. The audio is actually recorded on channel 6, which is our program feed out. And so I let my audio tech, he handles all of the audio, and then he gives that to me. The beautiful thing about this is, traditionally, if you were doing a multi-camera shoot and you had multi-cameras, you would be bringing them in and lining them up and cutting audio, in this instance, it just cuts the video and it leaves the audio clean. So there's not a bunch of cuts through that segment here in DaVinci. So pretty excited to give this a go and to see what I can come up with. What's also really cool is after if you get it wrong, if the cut is wrong, you can just move it to where the cut is correct. Like in the break in the sentence, or like if a question is asked and then there's a pause where you think about it, you can move it then, or you can move it after the answer starts, like a podcast, or like whatever the style you want. So there's a lot more flexibility here. I don't have to worry about fades or cut, like doing any transitions or anything like that. It's just all done right here in the multi-angle. So I'm pretty excited about this. This is the first time that I'm going to actually really be editing something, a multi-camera edit in DaVinci. But man, it seems to be a lot easier than I was planning on. I was a little bit nervous, like, oh, it's going to take me a long time. I think I need to watch this thing, which is about 35 minutes. I need to watch it twice to get it done. And so I'm expecting 2 or 3 hours into this, and then it will be finished. And if it's that easy, oh man, let's go. We're ready to make some content. So pretty excited about the way that this is panning out. And this will also play a factor in Sunday. We're doing a multicam shoot, but that one will be live, so I'll have to be a little sharper. But the recording on the 7th, actually with a friend of mine out of Michigan, he is going to be a camera feed, and so we can cut over to him and we can put them both on screen, or we can do whatever. So we're not going to have angles 3 and 5, but we'll definitely have angles 2 and probably a side shot of Patrick. So we'll have a dead-on shot, which will be cam 1. Camera 2 is usually over on an angle. Both of these are on angle, but oh man, I'm kind of really excited about this. I'm really looking forward to doing this project and getting a system down. The guy that there's a couple of tutorials I watched, but one of them said the first time you do this, you're going to go through it. It'll be kind of like nitpicky, whatever. But he's like, after 2 or 3 of these, you're going to get a system down where it's going to be super easy to do this, and it'll come really natural after you get a little practice in. So that's why I'm pretty excited, because I love to have this skill set, multi-camera edit. Let's go. Let's get it done. So pretty excited, and I'll let you guys know how it goes next week, because this one should be done today and tomorrow. It should be finished. Also, I think I might have a solution for my pentagraph problem. We were over there yesterday troubleshooting it after this camera shoot, but we were scratching our heads, and I sent off a request to Swit, and they actually sent me back something through the night, because it's a Chinese company, so they're asleep while I'm awake, and vice versa. So they sent me back something, and I think that might work. We'll find out. So hold your breath because the last few times I've been like, all right, I figured it out. And then I go there and it doesn't work. So I'm hopeful again. Man, if this pantograph thing works, I'll be so excited. We're going to buy a whole bunch of them, but more on that later. All right, well, it is 11:30, which means that you have gotten an extra 30 minutes for the price of 1 hour. And you know what? There's no charge. There's no charge. It's just the price of admission. The price of admission, honestly, guys, is just you in the chat. And I love that you participate and that you hang out with me in the chat. It's always appreciated that you send me things to talk about, but also correct my inaccuracies. And that is appreciated. It really is. You're very gentle about it. So thank you. Thank you. Always appreciate that. But today is a big day. And I got a lot of things to do. Again, I'll tell you more next week when I actually do the things. One of those things is this multicam shoot. So we're going to get that underway ASAP. But yeah, pretty excited. The next month is going to be a lot of fun. Oh, and I get to go camping, which is also exciting because I found out that there are enough people coming to camp this year, almost double than last year, that I'm going to bring my kayak, which means that I have a new roof rack downstairs that I need to attach to my truck and get that kayak up there. So giddy up on that too. Yeah, it's going to be a busy but a really fun month, and I hope you guys are enjoying life as much as I am. Angus, you could not be more right. ATEM ISO for the win. You are not kidding. And if you are wondering what the deal is with this channel and why do people tune in, it's actually this group of people that conceptualized and illustrated the usefulness of what it is I'm doing right now. And I made those recommendations to my team. We implemented a system that we designed here on this stream, and I'm using it in real world. This is the result of the John O'Canute channel thinking about how to do recording. And now here it is in the flesh. This is phase 1 of the recording system. Now, I will be probably integrating a couple of hyperdecks here soon. Here's hoping. For angles, in this instance, angles 2 and 4 are my traditional cameras 1 and 2. And so we will be integrating hyperdecks that can record in 4K for those two shots. But these are all recorded on an ATEM ISO, which is 1080. Totally fine. But 1080 60, which is awesome. I love it. So really good stuff there. It's the Teaching Things to John show. Yeah, there's another title for it. What was the one that Angus had? The Knutson Cabonus Room show. The Teaching Things John in the Cabonus Room show. There you go. Love it. All right, guys. Well, I am going to peace out. Thanks for continuing to educate me. It's funny because people come here and they're like, I'm the expert. Really, it's the other way around on this show. It's like you guys come and tell me how things are in the real world. And yeah, that's all good. Hey, I just bought a Video Assist 12G 7-inch HDR. It's such an elegant name, but it's a great little recorder. Nice. Doesn't sound cheap. That sounds expensive. I have a Video Assist, but the old school, the little guy that is just 1080 recording. Matter of fact, when I came here, that was how we were recording the live stream, as like a hard copy of it. They were using a Video Assist that was watching program. And I was like, you guys know what a Video Assist is, right? Like they're pretty robust in terms of helping us with color correction and everything. So we started using the waveforms on the Video Assist to start doing color correction, and then we would record the show on it while we were actually like underway. But we don't use it. I only use it now for video correction. And quite frankly, depending on what the future holds in terms of where we end up in life, because we're not moving right now. We thought we were, and now we're not. So depending on how that goes, I might advocate for a proper, the 3U Blackmagic preview and video assist waveform thing just to kind of get it all in the rack, and maybe sell the little video assist that we have, because or put it on top of a camera or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, more on that as time goes along. Life is good. It has been treating me well. I'm really enjoying having my family home for the summer. That's been a lot of fun. So, yeah, things are going well. I'll be back next week. The plan is to do this again next week, and I will come up with something. Maybe it'll be about pentographs. Maybe it'll be about this multi-camera shoot. Maybe both. Maybe there's not enough content there to do just one thing. And what was the other thing we were talking? Oh, yeah, the encoder decoder thing. So I'll have updates. We'll figure out something. But there'll be more to talk about next week. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with everybody and with me. As Angus says, have a great day, everyone. I would wait for the next generation of Blackmagic rack scopes products. Okay. We're not there yet anyways. Like, we're not there at the... I don't have a rack mount that's tall enough that would make sense. And so right now, that video assist that's mounted to a desk seems to be a better option for us. But, whatevs. It's not an urgent thing. It's just a part of the production suite, right? We're building that out. We're making it better. I really, that's what I could do tomorrow. I really need to do a behind the scenes, like, hey, everybody, you watch us every week. Here's what really goes on back behind the scenes. Because people have no idea. They come and visit us at the soundstage, and there's like these huge cameras, and there's camera ops and people on headsets, and the big, yeah, we just need to do better about being more transparent. Anyways, more next week. I'll be back. If Lord willing, I'll be back, and we'll hang out again, do some more. So thanks for hanging out with me, and appreciate you. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.